Today, my landlord's sister officially radicalized me to be anti-landlord. So, IDK if this fits here. As it's more anti-landlord, but those movements are very well connected and I'm not sure if there's a more fitting subreddit. I've known about the growing anti-landlord movement for some time. While I agreed largely with the points made by people who are anti-landlord, my sister is a landlord, so I held back on fully agreeing with the movement. Today my mother and I were visiting my sister, and the topic of the current housing crisis came up. She said that people tell us we are crazy for charging what we do, and that we should be charging much more now. I took this as we don't price gouge renters like other landlords. We are one of the good ones. Perhaps I should have read that comment as we should be price gouging our tenants more. I thought I'd explain about the anti-landlord sentiments that are growing all over the place, because that could one day cause her issues. I was being the little sister looking out for her. I just figured that maybe if she really is one of the good ones, then her and her husband could do some work improving the image of landlords to renters who have been spurned by other landlords. She immediately turned on me. Wouldn't let me finish explaining my point. Assumed I was part of the growing anti-landlord sentiment and shouted me down. Absolutely would not let me speak. I left. I was going to wait outside in the car. I just wanted to get away from that toxic environment. She decides to make some shitty comment like, "Oh, you are going outside to sulk, are you?" This sets me off. I've finally had it with her. I remind her that if it weren't for the husband she has to conveniently mooch off of, she would be in the exact same financial hole as me and our other sister. She is no better than us. We are all riddled with mental health disorders that leave us unable to work. Idiot husband comes out to kick me out of the house. Fine. I was already leaving. Blame your dumbass wife for me even being there. And I go wait in the car until mom is done visiting her. After that I realized that there is no good landlords. They are all leeches. They are all monsters. All landlords are slumlords. Welcome to the club. I'm sorry your sister's an asshole though. Here are some societal objections to how you make your money. Since you know these objections, you must necessarily believe them to be valid. You not necessarily. I'm intellectually curious, which is the hallmark of a fertile mind. Get out. I refuse to listen. I do want to say that there are good landlords, but they are certainly becoming a rarer breed. My wife and I rented from someone for years, and he was great. Charged below market, never raised rates, fixed issues promptly, and was very flexible with our needs. He was just happy to have a responsible tenant, because it can easily become a horror show if you have the wrong person on the property. That said, I won't ignore that there is a widespread housing issue, and greedy landlords are a huge part of the problem. But there are still some decent ones out there. Yikes. What a mess. And you were just trying to give context about why people are doubt she's one of the good ones, huh? Been living in the UK for 3 years. Most Western landlords are glorified scalpers. I'm sure the good folks at Our Landlord Love would welcome your story. That's your anti-landlord sub with the ironic name. 3 is a reason there is a growing movement. I agree with the points too. Applasset live should nt be a privilege. It should be a necessity. We shouldn't have to give away 90 of our hard work to slumlords. All landlords are slumlords to me now. My slumlord knows I can't pay current rates and is refusing to key our building warm till I do. He is also upping NY rent knowing I eventually won't be able to make payments. Sounds like she knows she's being terrible and couldn't handle you fucking with her. Rationalizations. Condolences, your sibling is a landbastard. Really sorry to hear this. My ex-landlord put me and my co-tenants through absolute hell as well by renting out the place to other people without telling us and then basically kicking us out with very little notice. Thinking about this makes me angry. All the good landlords I've ever had are surely out of the game by now. That was back when landlord was a job. If the toilet broke, it would be the landlord himself who'd drive over immediately and fix it. Today landlord indeed just means slumlord. Landlords are the worst. They kill the housing market, hoarding the affordable housing, ruining most people's chances at a future of financial security. Then they act entitled when what should be at most hobby income doesn't pay their bills. Landlording for anything but apartments should be illegal. It's single-handedly fucked the entire financial security of generations across the globe. There's a special place in hell for those kind of have to have no compassion for human life to do what they do to people. Most landlords aren't even individual people anymore. It's large corporations who own buildings and whole blocks across the country and take a massive step back from what the actual living conditions of their properties are like. Getting anything fixed is impossible. Getting any of your deposits back is impossible. Any communication is impossible unless it's them hounding you over late rent or giving notification of a rent increase. Your sister being so hurt on behalf of these monster corporations makes no sense unless she endeavors to be just like them, which seems to be the case. I've definitely seen some pro-landlord sentiment creeping in here at times. Get passive income so you can quit work, so it's good to reinforce in ourselves the solidarity between the movements. I have until the 4th of the month at 5 p.m. to pay my rent. One day, after traveling across the entire county and back, I graduated from Penn State. I paid at 4:30 p.m. My landlord ripped me a new asshole because he was late on his mortgage payment for his fucking McMansion. Meanwhile, me and my kids live in a 2-bedroom townhouse that subsidizes their entire fucking existence. They are all trash. My parents are in the process of redoing their will. They originally wanted my brother and I to share their property after they pass on, but my brother wanted to rent it out. I told my parents to leave the entire property to him because I wasn't going to be a landlord or deal with one on a regular basis if I didn't have to. I think being a landlord gives a lot of people brainworms when it comes to understanding what their position looks like to others. I know a landlord person who was telling me all about how they were going to replace the dishwasher in a unit. The current one is broken with a much nicer dishwasher, and then they can charge so much more rent. Part of me just wanted to puke listening to this. It's just a total blinding sad to be that out of touch. Yeah, I think the only good landlord was my last one, who kept our rates the same for 7 years. Then sold the property and stopped being a landlord. Landlord here. I can definitely understand the anti-landlord sentiment. I don't blame anyone for it but landlords. Imagine thinking you're entitled to skim off the top of someone